To all of you, I would want to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in and for your presence at the station. I am grateful for your presence. During the episode that we are going to be discussing today, we are going to be conducting an investigation into a case that is not only disturbing, but also strange. In light of the fact that it has given rise to a great deal of questions concerning this particular case, we are going to investigate this problem. The young woman whose absence has left investigators bewildered and the town in a condition of restless expectancy is the focus of this article. Her name is Sofia Mckenna, and she has been missing on multiple occasions. The essay offers a comprehensive and in-depth explanation of the unfortunate events that took place while she was absent. In the tragic investigation into the case of Sofia Mckenna, which took place on a day that would forever change the course of history in Groton, Connecticut, I would like for you to be a part of it. I strongly encourage you to look into this matter alongside me. During the time that we are doing the investigation into the circumstances surrounding the case, I would appreciate it if you could be present with me. On June 8, 2018, fishermen who were on board a commercial vessel observed something in the water that was not typical of what they had seen before. During the year 2018, this particular incident happened. As a result of this catastrophe, the tranquility that had been existing in the Long Island Strait was shattered. In the aftermath of the conclusion of a more comprehensive investigation, it was disclosed that the lifeless body of a young man called Spencer McFord had been found. When the abrasions and bruises that were seen on the body were investigated, it was impossible to determine the cause of the injuries that were sustained. Almost immediately following the discovery of this revelation, concerns were instantly raised regarding the circumstances that led to his death. The deceased person was identified as Spencer McFord, who had been reported missing a few days before, according to the findings of an investigation that established his identity. The investigation that established his identity was conducted. The police officers responded promptly to the fisherman's complaint, and as a result of their inquiry, they were able to determine the identity of the person who had gone away. When considering the remarkable conditions that surrounded his demise, it is of the utmost importance that acceptable solutions be found as soon as possible. This is because of the fact that his passing was accompanied by these circumstances. Following considerable deliberation, it was determined that an autopsy would be performed in order to acquire a more in-depth comprehension of the peculiar circumstances that accompanied the death of the individual. There was potential for speculation and misunderstanding to accompany the situation as a result of the fact that the results of the autopsy were not given to the general public. In spite of the fact that the results of the autopsy demonstrated that drowning was the cause of death, they were still the ones who found themselves in this predicament. As we continue to move forward with our investigation into the Sofia Mckenna case and the chain of events that occurred after Spencer's terrible discovery, we ask that you continue to remain watchful while we continue to move forward with our investigation. In the picturesque hamlet of Groton, Connecticut, which served as the backdrop for the event, a peculiar occurrence occurred that would entirely capture the attention of the town. Groton was the location where the event took place. The location of the event was Groton, which served as the venue at the time. Young children, Sofia Mckenna and Spencer McFord, were completely captivated by the mysterious lighthouse that was located in New London. Both of them were completely captivated by the lighthouse. They were both completely captivated by the lighthouse during their time there. Their interest in the lighthouse was something that they both had in common, and it was something that they both loved. They embarked on a quest that would ultimately become the focal point of a mystery that had not yet been solved for the time being. This mystery had been a mystery for quite some time. Specifically, this was because they were eager to study this well-known location, which was the reason for this. Since its construction in 1909, the lighthouse has garnered a reputation for being linked to occurrences that were believed to have a supernatural nature. This association has been with the lighthouse ever since. Throughout its entire existence, the lighthouse has been known for keeping this reputation. When people returned from their trips to the lighthouse, they told stories about incomprehensible happenings that they believed were connected to the spirit of Ernie, the lighthouse's original keeper. These stories were shared by both locals and tourists. Those individuals who had been to the lighthouse throughout their time, there were the ones who told themselves these stories. People who are interested in the occurrences that are associated with the paranormal have been drawn to the lighthouse in a way that is similar to a magnet. This is due to the fact that doors have been opening on their own, motions have taken place that cannot be explained, and occurrences have taken place that cannot be explained. Sofia and Spencer plan to carry out an inquiry at the lighthouse on the evening of May 27, 2018, with the intention of gathering this information. They traveled there with the purpose of conducting the investigation there, and they ultimately arrived there. Their decision was mostly influenced by the fact that they shared a mutual interest in the supernatural, which was how they came to their conclusion. Their choice was influenced by this infatuation, which was the driving force behind it. On the other hand, something went awry throughout the course of that evening, which ultimately resulted in them leaving without leaving any trace behind. There was no more sighting of them. At first, the authorities were under the assumption that these incidents were the result of nothing more than unfortunate accidents. Nevertheless, after a period of time had passed, they arrived at a different conclusion. The argument that they presented in support of the disappearance of the young couple was that they were victims of unfortunate circumstances that led them to a destiny that was tied to water. This was their justification for causing the young couple to vanish with no trace. They had no notion that this case would eventually turn into a perplexing mystery that would lead to the creation of more questions than it would solve. They were absolutely unaware of this possibility. They had no preconceived notions about the reasons why this would take place. Friends and family members had a reasonable level of concern in the aftermath of Sofia and Spencer's abduction for a number of reasons. This transpired as a consequence of the fact that they had stated that they had been absent for some time. Within a split second, the level of concern skyrocketed to an extremely high level. There were a great amount of attempts made to get in touch with the people who had disappeared, including friends and family members reaching out to them through phone calls and text messages. Nevertheless, these attempts were fruitless even though they were attempted. A glimpse into their final known position was provided by the mysterious Snapchat video that Sofia posted and the accompanying photograph that she took. The boat was heading in the direction of the lighthouse, and that was the only thing that was known about their whereabouts. Sofia is the photographer that took both of these pictures. Both of these photographs were taken by Sofia, who is listed as the photographer. In addition to the increased efforts that are being made to search for the individual who has gone missing, the Coast Guard and the police were immediately called into action to assist in the search for the missing person. Despite the fact that there were extensive searches undertaken on land, sea, and air, the young couple continued to evade capture the entire time. Neither of these searches yielded any positive results. In addition to the difficulty that was already present in the circumstance, the fact that Sofia's automobile and her mobile phone were found on the campus of the university was an extra factor that added to the confusion that we were already experiencing. In addition to the confusion that was already present, this was an extra aspect that added to the confusion. After everything was said and done, the t-shirt that Spencer was wearing, which was found near to the water's edge, turned out to be a vital piece of evidence that indicated that they had some kind of link to the lighthouse. This was the case since the t-shirt was found close to the water's edge. The official search had to be put on hold because of the severe weather, which caused the families to be in a state of worry regarding their loved ones' whereabouts. Because of this, the families were worried about the well-being of their loved ones. The examination into the case of Sofia Mckenna gives us with new insight into a complicated network of secrets, questions that have not been answered, and the unrelenting search for two young souls that plummeted into the unknown as a result of their actions. You are cordially invited to join me as we investigate the complexities of this fascinating matter, and I would like to offer this invitation to you. I strongly recommend that you comply with this request. During the course of the investigation into the case of Sofia Mckenna, a number of speculations and assumptions began to emerge, which contributed to the sense of mystery that surrounding the tragic occurrence. The occurrence of this occurs at a number of different moments throughout the course of the study. The pasts of Sofia Mckenna and Spencer McFord were investigated, and the findings of the inquiry revealed aspects of their lives that had the potential to shed light on the events that led to their disappearance. The investigation was done in order to determine the circumstances behind their disappearance. The fact that Sofia's mental health and relationships became the primary focus of the investigation brought an additional degree of complexity to the story, which was already becoming increasingly problematic as a result of the fact that she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The main focus of the investigation was on Sofia's relationships. It was because Sofia was diagnosed with the disease that the probe was started in the first place. Throughout the process of understanding the sequence of events that led up to their kidnapping, the intricacies of her relationships, notably with her ex-boyfriend Austin, became increasingly essential components. Austin was the person who had been her boyfriend at the time. As far as these associations were concerned, Austin was the most prominent. Over the course of the previous year, she had a romantic involvement with Austin rather than anybody else. The manner in which they made judgments, the interactions that were anticipated, and the circumstances that may have contributed to the tragic situation that is currently unfolding have all been the subject of concerns that have been voiced. The presentation of these concerns has been motivated by concern, which has been the driving force behind it. As a result of the specifics of their most recent known action, which took place on May 26, 2018, a number of uncertainties have been brought about. A crucial piece of evidence that was found over the course of the investigation was the sailboat, which was the vessel that the couple had used to travel to the lighthouse. This was one of the most significant pieces of evidence that was found. When it was discovered, the sailboat was uncovered during the course of the inquiry that was being conducted. The state of the boat and the area in which it was found presented a number of clues that provided insight into the challenges that they would have encountered during their unlucky journey of discovery. These indications provided insight into the problems that they would have encountered. The significance of these indications lies in the fact that they are specific to the difficulties that they would have encountered. The fact that there were still questions that were not answered continued to be a reason for concern, in addition to the fact that there was a lack of actual evidence, which added to the overall complexity of the case, which was another factor that contributed to the overall complexity of the case. The detectives were met with a conundrum that looked to be difficult to answer at several points throughout the course of their investigation. Because Austin had a troubled history and a tumultuous connection with Sofia in the past, suspicions started to spread that he was engaged in the disaster. This was a consequence of both of these factors. This was because Austin had a troubled past, which was the reason for this scenario. The investigations that were being carried out at the time were presented in a negative light due to the fact that there was a potential that he was engaged in the disappearance. As a consequence of the existence of this possibility, suspicions were heightened, and the investigations that were being carried out were portrayed in an unfavorable manner. The truth that there are a great deal of different options has been brought to light with this revelation. Some of these possibilities entail domestic violence, while others involve legal issues. Among these possibilities are those described above. In accordance with one of these hypotheses, the choice that Sofia made to terminate her relationship with Austin would have been received with a hostile response, which would have subsequently resulted in legal complications. Had Sofia been the one to make the decision, then this would have been the outcome. At some time throughout the course of the investigation, it was taken into consideration that the two persons might have been in contact with people who might have been harmful to them while they were at the lighthouse. This was taken into consideration at some point. In addition to the fact that the hectic holiday weekend may have put them in risks that they had not anticipated, there are a number of other circumstances that may have contributed to their inexplicable disappearance. One of these causes is the fact that they may have been put in dangers that they had not anticipated. The disappearance of these individuals was caused by a lot of factors, and this is one of those factors. At the same time, when hypotheses of accidents and dangerous behavior were being explored, the idea that the couple's decision to embark on an unprepared boat adventure in poor weather would have resulted in tragic effects was also taken into consideration. This was done at the same time. This action was taken in combination with the fact that studies were being carried out. This is the assumption that was made at the same time that the study was being carried out simultaneously. Despite the fact that there were no concrete leads to follow up on, Sofia's family and friends continued their search efforts, which were tireless the entire time. They intended to find her and bring her to justice. Because of the personal stake they had in the investigation of the kidnapping, they had a substantial emotional interest in finding the truth and finding solutions to the problems that surrounded the unexplained absence. Their passion was a reflection of the personal stake they had in the investigation. After some time has passed, the investigation into the disappearance of Sofia Mckenna has developed into a convoluted web of assumptions, suspicions, and the persistent pursuit of the truth. As we work our way through the many facets of this enigmatic riddle, I would like for you to accompany me on this journey. The objective of our investigation is to be able to piece together the chain of occurrences that resulted in the disappearance of Sofia and Spencer. The participation of you in this endeavor is something that I am hoping for. Although a significant amount of time has passed, the circumstances surrounding the case of Sofia Mckenna continue to be shrouded in a cloud of suspicion. Both the absence of an official narrative and the absence of any findings that might be called conclusive have been supplied. Neither of these things has been discussed. Each and every one of these things is irrelevant in some way, as a result of the fact that the mystery that has surrounding their disappearance is still a secret. The community as well as the detectives are driven to deal with a mystery that has not been told to them. This is because the mystery has not already been revealed to them. Due to the fact that there are still aspects of the investigation that have not been completed, individuals who are related to Sofia and Spencer continue to experience feelings of frustration. For some folks, this continues to be a source of dissatisfaction and frustration. The fact that there is a gap in the information that is now accessible continues to be a source of confusion for both the authorities and the families that are engaged in the case. This is due to the fact that there are questions that have not been answered, theories that are speculative, and there is no narrative that can be considered conclusive. All of these elements have played a role in bringing about this circumstance. They are unyielding in their pursuit of the truth regarding what happened to Sofia, and the efforts that her family and the community are making to locate her are a reflection of the determination that they have. The emotional toll that this case has taken on loved ones is unimaginable, and the fact that they are still looking for a resolution shines light on the immense impact that this case has had on their lives. Their lives have been dramatically altered as a result of this case. These individuals' lives have been significantly altered as a result of this case. A private investigator who was not linked with any organization reported the discovery of bones in close proximity to the coast. The detective was not affiliated with any organization. The turn of events that took place was one that was completely unanticipated. The subsequent examination revealed that the bones were of animal origin, despite the fact that there was a brief moment of optimism over the outcome of the situation. As a consequence of their investigation, the researchers arrived to this conclusion by themselves. according to the continuous narrative, which focuses on the challenges that were experienced in the process of solving this perplexing issue, it was revealed that the potential breakthrough that was intended to take place was actually the source of the prospective breakthrough. Due to the fact that the information has been disclosed, the likelihood of a breakthrough occurring has been brought to light. Among the members of the community, there is a strong sense of urgency over the significance of carrying out an exhaustive inquiry and carrying on with the search. It is because of the gravity of the circumstance that this has occurred. Because the circumstances surrounding Sofia Mckenna are so complicated, it is very necessary to conduct a thorough inquiry into the matter. The probe must be thoroughly examined in every single facet, and this must be done with extreme caution. In order to offer closure to the families who are suffering, it is imperative to discover the truth, and this is the reason why this is so important. In spite of everything that has been said and done, the case of Sofia Mckenna stands as a powerful reminder of the mysteries that have not yet been solved. This is the case after everything has been carried out. As we navigate our way through the twists and turns that are a part of this intriguing story, we begin to get an appreciation of the significance of the ongoing efforts that are being made to obtain answers. We would want to take this opportunity to convey our gratitude to our audience for the privilege of going beside us on this voyage. We would like to take advantage of this opportunity here. One day, the mystery that surrounds Sofia Mckenna will be solved, putting an end to the interesting conundrum that has captivated both our minds and our hearts. We continue to have confidence that this will happen. This belief has been strengthened as a result of the passage of time. Thank you for watching. I recommend our other crime videos.